Most Americans will never escape the wealth trap. They rent their home, their car, they even rent their time. And when it's all over, they retire broke. The reason? They don't own real estate.
What do you think, Trav?
You don't think that's the reason?
Well, I mean, I always go back to being a conspiracy theorist. I love that it says, you know, at the opening, Gabe, I love that you said they rent their time. I think a lot of people don't think about that, but I think people are. If you're working for a company and you're a single line item expense on the profit and loss statement and you're giving hours for dollars, you're renting your time. I also feel like there's a reason we've all been taught this through our primary education, middle school, high school, even college. We're taught to be a rental society. We're taught to give our hours for dollars. And I think it is a trap. And I think the trap benefits a lot of people, not the person in the trap. I think it benefits the shareholders of the company, the owner of the company. I think it benefits the government because you have W-2 earners paying half their paycheck to the government. I think the wealthiest of the wealthy need W-2 income earners. They need people renting cars, paying exorbitant interest rates. They need, hell, we need renters on our properties. And it benefits the asset owners, and the wealthy, and the government has been teaching us that since the dawn of time. Do that. And then you wake up, 65, 70 years old. You don't have enough money to live the retirement life you've always dreamed of. So now you're handing out carts at Walmart. And then you're under the bridge drinking rotten milk with Mitch. And then
that was the longest fucking run-on sentence I've ever heard in my
There was
life.
not even a single comma. It was just and then you're going to be underneath the bridge.
Yeah. I was not even sure what I was listening to.
It's just a nonstop puking of just a stream of thought.
The cliff notes,
all day.
We're taught to be trapped. And being trapped benefits other people. It doesn't benefit you.
Again.
Another let me break it down for you real simple. Like this is why Robert Kiyosaki and Rich Dad Poor Dad, why that book did so well. I don't care what you think of the guy today in 2025. The reason, and I think it was in 1998, that book did so well, he broke it down so simple. Assets put money in your pocket. Liabilities take money out of your pockets. If you want to create wealth, own assets. You need to own cash producing assets that put money in your pocket every month so you can be free from the job, free from a slave to the dollar, free from being a slave to your job and to your life, and then come home when you're too tired to actually enjoy yourself. Have those 2 weeks off a year to enjoy your life and be able to live the life that you want. So yeah, you need to own assets. You need to own assets that put money in your pocket every month to be truly free and not be a slave to the man, to the job, to a boss, to this life that's out of your control.
Well, there's also this misconception among millennials, Gen Z, the younger crowd, that like owning things ties you down. And I'm like, what's interesting to me is owning things has done the opposite for me. It's allowed me to travel. It's allowed me to move around the world, around the country, or travel the world, or get up and leave anytime I want. Like, I think people got to get away from this thing where, I've talked to people and they're like, well, I don't want to buy a house. Or I don't want to invest in real estate because I don't want to be tied down. I'm like, well, you're thinking about it wrong. Like, if you think about an investment because you're tied and you're going to be tied down, it's like because you're mowing the lawns, you're talking to those things. We've talked a lot about you've got to get other people to manage your property. So like, I'm the least tied down I've ever been. I was way more tied down in my 20s when I rented and had a job than I am now. I'm very, very, I'm not tied down at all now. I'm totally free now versus my 20s. I rented, I had a W-2, I had 2 weeks of vacation per year. I was very tied down. So I think there's this like misconception that people are telling them themselves this story.
Well, yeah, you either control your life or your life controls you. And we love real estate. The reality is over 90% of millionaires have some sort of real estate exposure. Like, even non-real estate investors, like if you look at the wealthy, you look at, high net worth individuals, like a lot of them got wealthy through real estate, but even the ones who didn't, they still have a lot of real estate exposure. They still have money invested in real estate because real estate kicks off cash flow. Real estate appreciates over time. Real estate has a lot of tax benefits. And I agree, like we talk about time freedom. We talk about living life on our terms, right? Like real estate has allowed each of us to do that. And it will continue to allow people to do that for generations and generations to come.
Well, Travis, I want to hear from you since we put you in a corner and slapped you.
No one puts baby in the corner. No one puts baby in the corner.
We told Travis, take your ball and go home.
Did Travis refer to himself as baby? Did he say nobody puts baby in a corner? What?
Yeah, it's Dirty Dancing. Yeah, when you're old like me, you remember those movies.
Yeah, Dirty Dancing
Yeah.
was popular in the 60s.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway,
great
Travis,
movie.
tell us what was going on.
Not true. It took place in the 60s, I think. What do you want to know, Mitch? What the hell are you asking me right now?
What do you think, man? I mean, what do you think? I mean,
Travis, give us the data, dude. Give us the data. We haven't heard a data bomb from Travis in a long time.
Travis, you got data, right? Didn't you research this?
I mean, I think the facts speak for themselves. I think that the fact that over 90% of millionaires have exposure to real estate, I mean, you could just drop the mic right there and walk away. I think that's telltale. I think that real estate is the most leverageable asset on earth. I think owning assets helps you combat forces you can't control, like government shutdowns, like inflation. If you're renting and you're leasing a car and you're on a fixed income where they give you a 3% raise every year, you're fucked, man. And we've talked about this. I think that a lot of the political issues that we have in this country are based on the middle class getting evaporated. People were sold after, World War II. They were sold, and I was there, Mitch, right there, right after World War II. They were sold the middle class dream, and there was a dream, and it lasted for a long time. But that's no longer the case. You can't buy a house. You can't live life the way you want to if you're a renter, and if you're stuck in this. So, real estate, in my mind, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It is the great equalizer in this country. You can use bank debt. You can partner with people with equity. You can buy real estate that has the most tax advantages on earth, in my humble opinion, and the assets appreciate, all the while kicking off cash flow, giving you freedom. So, I mean, the stats do speak for themselves. I mean, you're not going to get tax benefits in the stock market. You certainly don't get tax benefits as a W-2 employee. And so it allows you to grow your wealth, use leverage. Like we all came from nothing, but we use leverage to grow our wealth and live free lives. So, I mean, we could just end the episode right there. Go learn the fundamentals on buy real estate, cash flowing real estate, put other people in place to manage said real estate, and then go buy flight simulators like Mitch and stop working for weeks on end.
Well, let's not end the episode there. I mean, Mitch, walk us through maybe the difference, like someone that has income through cash flow real estate versus someone that's earning their income through W-2. Like, what are the risks? What are the consequences? What are the benefits of owning investment real estate, say even just a few rentals, versus someone that's earning an income as a W-2 employee?
Well, I can actually talk through this because that was me. I did have a W-2 for a number of years, a couple different W-2s in my 20s. One of the things that I realized was like, first of all, when you work at a big corporation, they're going to put more and more on you every single year. The better you do, the more they put on you. So the better I perform, the more they put on me. And what that meant for my lifestyle was less time with my family, less time to exercise, to travel, to do all those things. So I was getting all this work piled on me, where, by the way, when you own more real estate, it's the exact opposite. So when you step into the world of real estate, the more you own, the more time you get. In the corporate world or the W-2 world, the more you progress, the less time you get. So that's one of them. The other one is pay, which is really important because that's our access to resources in this economy. I would get a raise of, say, inflation plus a point or two. In real estate, if you buy right, you give yourself your own raises and you control those raises. The other thing too is, like, if I'm working at this corporation, I'm selling my time, right? Versus real estate, like I said before, you're getting more and more time back. And then another piece, and I could just go on and on because, like, this was me. I was stuck. I was like 25, 26, 27, those years I was stuck in this W-2 world, and I was building somebody else's castle. I was not earning equity in this business. I mean, very little, right? I could take some, invest in this stock, but very little. Versus in real estate, the better and better that asset gets, the more optimized it gets, the better it's run, the higher the rent is, the lower the expenses are, the more that goes to the bottom line. I'm also earning equity in the real estate because it's my castle, not somebody else's. So for me, it's like, it's the other side of the coin. Every time you look at a W-2 or a corporate job or whatever that is, and by the way, if you love doing that, then keep doing that. That's fine. But also think about this other side, because the other side is the exact opposite. I don't have enough time. I have more time. I don't have equity. I have more equity. So hopefully that was well said, but like, there's probably more and more points that I could go. I mean, what about the taxes, by the way? Even the taxes, I pay so much in taxes versus I pay very little in taxes because I'm a partner with the government, and the government needs people like us to improve the housing stock or the industrial stock or the office stock. So it goes on and on and on. There's just so many benefits, and you literally move to the other side when you get into holding real estate.
No, I think it's really well said. I mean, I hear that and I think the average person is trading time for money. And oftentimes they're trading time for money forever. And real estate investing creates income that's going to show up whether you're working or not. And that's the advantage. Like over time, it's going to go up in value, but it's actually spitting off income, whether or not you're trading your time for hours or not. And to me, that's a huge advantage.
Well, I think a lot of people. Oh, go ahead, Mitch. Back to Mitch. Here we go.
Well, I have a better point than you do. So what I was saying though is like I'm just joking. So I'll just say with one thing. I was sitting across from my boss. He gave me a raise of like 4%. Inflation that year was like 3.3. I was like, okay, great. I got a 0.7 raise as far as buying power goes. That same year, I started doing my job. I did it fine, but I started putting less into progressing in that career because I was like, look, I got to figure this out. I made a $20,000 investment that gave me $700 per month. Right? At the time I was making $72,000 per year. I made an investment. I started building my own castle while I was at my W-2, and I gave myself like a 12% return versus at my job, I got a 0.7% return, basically. That changed my entire world because I took control of my life and I actually went out and gave myself a return. Not to mention my boss was like, if you keep doing a great job, you're going to have my job someday. Which, by the way, he had a stroke at 36 and he looked like he was pregnant, basically. And he was totally out of shape and not happy and had a terrible relationship with his wife and kids. So I didn't want to have his life. I wanted to take control of my own life. Sorry, Trav, I stepped on you.
I mean, well, oddly enough, you echoed what I was going to say, except not as eloquent. I think people forget that time is the biggest asset. In fact, I was just listening to the Napoleon Hill book, Interview with the Devil, and this didn't come out till 2012 because there was a lot of sort of educational, political, religious risks at the time. But one of the key points that he said in like 1938 or whenever he wrote this book, he goes, don't forget that time is the biggest asset. This is when people were being taught to be factory workers, go learn a skill, a trade, or go to college and go trade hours for dollars. And you mentioned that like you were in a W-2 job, but you stopped focusing on that, right? And you started focusing on building your own castle. And I would say that getting time back is hard at first when you're doing this game. You might buy a duplex. You might get a few $100s a month in cash flow. But taking that first step is important because getting that time back starts to exponentially improve. Now you go buy the next duplex and you get $1,000 a month. And now you're slowly buying your time back. And then the more time you get, the more time you have to go look at deals, understand the fundamentals, build a multiple passive incomes through real estate. And it gets easier and easier because yes, you learn more. Yes, you get access to people and resources, but more importantly, you start getting more and more time back. And so the results increase exponentially. And I think people forget that. And time is the biggest asset. And that's what real estate gives you.
Has always been the biggest asset. There's a Rockefeller quote that goes, "He who works all day has no time to make money."
The same guy that was influencing the primary education to go teach kids to be factory workers because he needed W-2 and.
Ironically, yes. I mean, he wanted his people to work so that he had time not to work, so he could have time thinking about how to make money. But it's like, whether you like the history of the Rockefellers or not, I think it's something to meditate on. Like, he who works all day has no time to make money. And there's some truth to that, because if you're spending all your time trading that time for dollars, you don't have time to think about not just time to make money, but actually time to like create the life you want, time to think about what's important to you, time to spend with your family, time to travel, time to do all the things in life that you want to do in life. If you're spending your entire life working to make somebody else wealthy. Yes, I understand that Rockefeller wanted everyone else working to make him wealthy.
Well, naturally, he did. Yeah. I mean, one of the things, the exercises we do in the Elite Mastermind, which is kind of fun. If you're listening to this, look at what you need per year, right? And then divide that by 365. So what you need per day, and then start taking steps to get your days back. I look at this thing like, don't look at the concept like, oh, I got to get free for the whole year, the whole thing, that can be overwhelming. But like, if you work on getting your days back, you can actually make sort of tangible moves that make a big difference. At $100,000 per year for your family, that's $273 per day. If you think about it like this, one little investment, $500 per month, maybe it doesn't feel like a lot, but that's around 22 days of freedom per year. And so this is how I looked at it when I was working. I was making these strategic investments slowly but surely to get my days back. And I'd put on the whiteboard. It was so exciting, right? I make one investment and it was like, dude, I just got 34 days back of my year. And it doesn't take a whole lot of those before you're free. You're stepping away from the W-2 if that's what you want, and you become a full-time investor. And that's when things get really interesting. We talk about that R1, where your passive income equals your lifestyle expenses. And literally now you're able to go look for more opportunities, build valuable relationships, focus on your health, your travel, your adventures, all that stuff.
Also, when you're running those numbers, they say you need to take home, like you make $100,000 a year at your job. Well, remember, like 30 to 40% of that's getting taxed. So actually, you don't need to make as much passive income in real estate to get free, because people forget that the government dips their hand in your cookie jar before you even have a say and takes their dollars first. In fact, I think we say you work the first 3 to 4 months of the year for the government. So don't think you need to go create $100,000 a year in passive income. It might be a lot less because of the tax benefits of the real estate, depreciation, 1031 exchanges, write-offs, all the things that we get to do in the real estate world.
Most Americans will never escape the wealth trap. They rent their home, their car, they even rent their time. And when it's all over, they retire broke. The reason? They don't own real estate.